start it whenever. I'll figure it out.
Action.
Action.
I started it.
Damn.
Yeah. Are you recording already?
Yes. Now I am.
Okay. Cool. Should we do a really cool intro or like? Is this like a cold open? Is this Saturday live? It's Saturday, Sunday, York live. Laugh track.
Good enough. So welcome to episode 1 of the Sock and Cold Show. I am
right, because the first one was episode 0. Yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
I am.
We could be really contrived about it. There isn't? Oh.
Yeah, no, it doesn't exist. Don't go looking for it. We absolutely did talk about, if there was an episode 0, I'm just saying, it would have totally been about video games and nothing else.
Yes, there would have been no anything that we didn't do a whole bit where we talked about racism or source filmmaker in any particular fashion or anything else of that nature.
Or shirts found at Goodwill.
Yes.
Anyway, so there's a lot to talk about here in terms of news, gaming news. I kind of had some things I wanted to segue into from those, and I'm guessing you probably just want to talk about the stuff that was, released, stuff that was shown lately. So I'm gonna let you start here.
Okay.
What do you have for me? What
there
is your first thought?
So there were a lot of different events that happened over the past couple weeks. Basically, every big, player, I guess you could say, the Summer Games Fest happened, obviously, with Jeff Keighley, friend of the show,
Yep.
That always big deal. I always love watching that. I love watching the Game Awards.
Friend of the show.
Yeah,
fucking
Xbox.
Hate him.
Fucking hate that guy. Yeah, obviously the Xbox showcase. You had the Nintendo Direct was just this. I think it was like Monday or Tuesday of this week. I think it was Monday.
Yeah, a
actually.
couple days
maybe it was
ago.
Tuesday. Yeah. And then we had the State of Play as well, which I will say I didn't watch that actually. I watched the Summer Games Fest, I watched the Xbox Showcase, and I watched the Nintendo Direct. So did you watch any or all of those?
I watched none of them. All of my information has been memes. So.
Gotcha. So I mean, there were some cool releases, and we could definitely I want to talk about some just random releases, and I don't know if you have any of any I'm sure you've heard of some of the big ones at the very least that were from some of these events. So I don't know if you have any of those you were like, oh, I'm excited for A, B, C, or D as well. But I also just kind of was gonna ask, just kind of broadly, how different do you feel like the sort of post-convention, post-E3 game reveal environment is, because obviously when we were in like high school, and even like I don't know when the last E3 was, I think it was probably right around like my freshman or sophomore year of college. It was before COVID.
Right.
Did they have any post-COVID, or did they just never come back after COVID?
I don't think they ever come. They might have tried to do something where it was like E3 but it's online. I can't remember. All I remember is like it was like 2019 was the last year, I think, and then obviously COVID hit, and even by 2019 it was kind of getting like the hype was not really there anymore. Yeah,
I think we already had like some of the big players had started doing their own events. Like we had like PlayStation showcases and Nintendo stuff and all that already kind of branching out and separating. And now it's interesting because, like, you do still have kind of the conglomeration of big reveals, mostly in, like, the Jeff Keighley Industrial Complex, the Summer Games Fest, and the Game Awards. But aside from that, it really is mostly independently the big console companies, Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony, doing their own reveals. So I don't know how different that feels to you. If it's cooler because there's more different showcases and maybe it's also kind of more curated. Because if you're somebody that only is like somebody that has a Switch and only plays like Nintendo stuff, maybe you prefer it that way, right? Because you don't really care about the big reveals of like the next exclusive for a different console. But I also think like maybe if you're just an in general gaming person, You're like, yeah, I kind of liked when everything was sort of together and we just had these big celebrations of gaming, which we still kind of do in like the Summer Games Fest and the Game Awards and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't know if that like is a big different feeling thing to you, if it's more just kind of the same or what.
I kind of feel like, in general, it's nice that a lot of smaller releases kind of get a highlight, because when you have all these different, showcases from different companies rather than one big mega showcase, it kind of encourages them to fill time with the smaller releases, with the smaller, whatever, indie games, that sort of thing. I think that's a positive part of it. At the same time, though, I do see, like, because I'm a person who very much is like, I don't really care about a lot of new games these days, and so I can definitely understand the viewpoint of like, it was nice when it was just the big stuff. It was nice when it was just, one nice consolidated set of reveals.
It's understandable. I don't know, because it did feel like you were just like, all right, here's E3, gonna watch it. I'm gonna learn everything, like. And now it is more so different events, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's fine either way. I mean, I think that it's also just probably more convenient and less expensive for a lot of people in general, because I mean, it was a big event to go to E3. I'm sure a lot of people had a lot of great experiences there, but like, I don't know. It is nice that you can just kind of just sit around in your chair and just figure out everything pretty easily, because everything's just digital presentations and streams now for the most part. I don't know.
Yeah,
there's some cool releases, and I'm excited about some of them.
I get the feeling that a lot of the people who went to E3 are probably still capable of getting that sort of experience from smaller events. I don't know if South by Southwest still happens. Things like that. What's the other one?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
PAX?
Oh, PAX. I remember that being a thing that people went to. I don't really remember much about it, but I remember it being a thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Stuff like that. Penny Arcade Expo. That's what it stands for.
Really? Yeah.
Yes. So, like, I'm sure those experiences still happen. It's just not one consolidated industry-wide, because that was the thing, right? It was the Electronics Entertainment Expo. It was like, that is where everybody got together. That was the big one. And now you have all these different kind of self-sustaining smaller ones, smaller events, smaller reveals, and it's kind of like, pick your poison at this point. And I think, like, in some ways it feels healthier. But I could, like, again, I could totally understand if someone was like, I just want to, like, have the highlights shown to me, because I mean, for me, there's often very few highlights. I'm just gonna name off a couple here. Ocarina of Time remake. It looks, that's something I'm looking forward to. What else? I saw Kingdom Hearts 4 apparently was teased, or was there gameplay? I didn't watch it.
It looked like there was gameplay. Yeah, there was gameplay.
Okay, so
it was still that it's still the same one, like, environment that we saw in the reveal trailer. That's like the city with the really big heartless looking guy. You've seen it.
Yeah.
But it was still clearly that same area, and then, but it did look like there was actual gameplay with the guy with the key doing the keyblade things and all that. But it didn't wow me in the same way that it didn't feel like a big reveal, because it felt like it wasn't too much more than we'd already seen. I don't know.
Right. And I'm trying to think what else. I guess Persona 4, whatever the Persona 4 remake is called.
Revival, yeah. Comes out in February of 2027.
And, like, that's kind of it for me. I'm not...
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's weird, because as gaming is getting more expensive because of the cost of AI, it's harder to get into video games that are new. It's more expensive. It's more like yeah, that I guess that's pretty much it. It's just more expensive. You got to pay more for basically PC components or any console, and you have to make that additional investment. It's not.
And the games themselves are also more expensive. You know, I mean, we're paying like, you know, the default price is quickly becoming like $70 for like a big game where it was like $60 before. And some of them it's like, well, if you want the physical edition that isn't really a physical edition, but kind of is, it's $80 now, you know? So yeah, everything is more expensive. And then, you know, like you said, you either have to buy a console that, like, even if the console's been out for years now, it is going up in price as opposed to going down in price like it should. And if you want to upgrade your PC in order to play a new game, you have to spend a shit ton of money on it. So yeah, it does feel like, unfortunately, there is a bit of a pretty massive accessibility issue for a lot of newer titles, just because the amount of money you need to get to the bare minimum to play these titles, just buying them and buying the console or computer you need to play it, it's getting a little rough out there.
Yeah, like when I was a young teenager, it was like minimum buy-in for gaming was like $500 on a gaming PC, I think. And now it feels like minimum buy-in if like you want to play games even at, or like new games at lowest graphic settings, it's like $2,000. It's ridiculous, you know.
It's a little rough out there.
Did you? I'm gonna lead into something here. Did you see the Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3 box art, the collection?
Oh, for like the new Switch 2 version of it, because that was when they revealed, right? There was like the big collection. No, was it wacky? Was it weird? What happened?
So there is a.
Did Sora have 6 fingers?
What? There is a very obvious mistake. On one hand, Donald has 3 fingers and a thumb. On the other hand, he has 4 fingers and a thumb.
Mm-hmm.
So people are looking at that and going, is this AI generated? Let me see if I can find the image.
So I was kind of right. I was in the right ballpark.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you almost got it. Let me see.
And that's, by the way, so insane because they've made this game 18,000 times. You have so many options for box art. How many times have they resold a Kingdom Hearts game? Why do you even need to make... You don't even need to make new box art. Just slap the Nintendo Switch fucking logo on it. Because they've even sold them as a collection before already on different platforms.
Yeah, it's... Hold on.
Why on earth would you need to AI generate that?
It feels like, yeah, it feels ridiculous. Like, you have so much art, you have so much to pull from. It feels ridiculous. And what if I just type in Cage Collection here? Do I get the funny image? Do I get the funny Donald has 18 fingers image?
Do I get the biblically accurate Donald Duck on my... He's just like an incomprehensible horror, but everything else on the cover is exactly the same.
Okay. Okay, so on the thumbnail for a video that they have on the Square Enix website, they hide the other hand by putting it behind Kingdom Hearts 1 Sora. So I don't know. Kind of
like a soft admission feels like, you know.
Yeah, here's what that looks like. So if you could see his left hand, our right, you would see it has 4 fingers and a thumb.
Okay.
I want to see the old box art because it was like the old box art was really, it kind of reeked of AI in some ways.
I also guess I never realized the amount of fingers that Disney characters have.
Right. It's really weird for.
Because, like, I guess all, like, the Mickeys and Donalds and Goofies are 3 fingers and a thumb. I never realized that. I don't know.
Here it is.
Oh, here we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, thumb. Yeah, no. Also, that's just a shittily drawn hand, too, if I'm being honest with you. Like, I can't draw, but I mean... Well, to be fair, it doesn't seem like they drew it either. I mean... Grok, make me Donald Duck.
Yeah, here's kind of the fuller image. Kind of. Like, I don't know. People are talking about, like, how is AI used here? And honestly, I think what it is they basically like used 3D models and then they took an image and then they gave it to like an AI and said, make this look like it was drawn. And at the same time, I also think like maybe I don't know, it's hard to tell. Point being, this is putting people out of jobs, right? Like, this is ridiculous that you can't pay some artist like an actual wage to do this and instead produce this kind of clusterfuck.
But like, if we were paying artists money, how would we get trillionaires, Common? I think you really need to think about them, you know?
Elon Musk needs his paycheck too.
You know?
Yeah, gotta...
If Grok wasn't drawing Donald Duck for people with the wrong amount of appendages, I don't think that they'd be able to survive. So I think you're really actually being very discriminatory here. I think it's very messed up, and I think you should really, do a little bit of deep introspection into why this is, Also, by the way, you don't get water anymore.
Also, by the way,
Grok is very thirsty.
Grok thirsty.
Grok thirsty. Guac need water so he can make AI porn of Donald Duck.
I don't know what that was.
There was a little bit of Donald in there, I think. I don't know what he was doing. Nothing good.
I don't know. Maybe that was like, he was like, no, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean,
anyway.
I just imagine AI Donald Duck like lurching towards you with like a really uneven gait, like, oh, there's a lucky emblem over here. Just like dying, like
a lucky emblem.
Poor. He was struggling in Kingdom Hearts 3, man. He was rough. I'm not even
It's funny too, because it was a little more, I wouldn't even say more understandable. It was just more human, It
was more painful.
Yeah.
It sounded like it hurt.
It does. Like, in the earlier games, it's kind of, it kind of just flows. It kind of makes sense, but I'm guessing doing that voice for however long.
It's got to be terrible for you.
Right. Yeah. So, I have a little bit of a unique experience here with AI, because I'm a Discord moderator. And
okay, champ.
In particular, I'm a part of the moderation team for the Quake Mapping Discord server, and one of the rules is absolutely no AI. No AI generated stuff. No AI generated code. No AI generated images. Nothing. Sounds, artwork, whatever. And that rule alone, we get people who come into the Quake Discord and argue about it more or less. And we welcome the discussion as long as it's civil. But more often than not, it feels like people who really want to use AI, people who, want to continue their, AI generating code, AI generating images, are doing so not because they think AI as it is okay, but because they've like convinced themselves through some mental gymnastics that like them using AI isn't a part of the problem, you know?
Even if AI itself is problematic, they're using it in a way that's harmless in their estimation, basically.
Maybe it's lower like it's justified because everyone's using it,
Mm-hmm.
And if everyone's using it, then whether or not I don't use it doesn't matter, maybe. And it's like you got to realize, like, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of like the slave owner thing, where it's like if ever, just couple hundred years ago, everyone owned a slave. It's like, okay, not everyone, first of all, but second of all, like, that really doesn't make it okay, I don't think.
We're 2 for 2 on talking about slavery, by the way,
apparently,
in the show.
Apparently.
So keep that in mind. I don't know.
Whatever that means. It pisses me off, honestly, because it feels like the people who come in who argue for AI really just don't care about the environmental impact, the economic impact, anything like that. They just want to not have to do work, more or less. And it's like, come on, man. Are you really like that? Are you really so morally bankrupt that you would, in the face of all the evidence, in the face of knowing that it's killing people practically, you are going to keep using it because you don't want to learn a little bit of C#, or you don't want to learn how to draw or use Photoshop,
Mm-hmm.
I've always kind of felt like AI was scummy, like even from the beginning, even from when it was
just Will Smith really badly eating spaghetti,
Yes,
that was it.
Or
that
like
was
Mario fused with a toilet or whatever. And that was AI. And or what was the really old like AI dungeon where it was like it was like a text-based adventure, but it was all done with AI.
I don't remember.
It was really shitty. Point being, it was really shitty. I always kind of felt like it was a little scummy, but not too bad, because it couldn't actually produce anything, right? It couldn't actually be a replacement. And it still can't, but people think it can because, like, there are some situations where, like, the vast majority of the populace will be fooled. Will think, oh, this is okay. This is fine if it was made by AI. And it's like, it's just not worth it. I don't know about you. I have some siblings. I have a sister, and she uses AI occasionally.
They chat GPT everything, right? You have people that that are always chat GPTing, asking it about anything, that are asking it to help them do things, A, B, C, and D. I mean, so we're gonna get that.
It's a little bit of that. It's sometimes they'll generate funny images of themselves and their coworkers, things like that, and it's like I kind of want to I don't want to be that guy who like comes down on
You don't want to
them.
be the guy that comes out and says, "Oh, I'm gonna morally grandstand or whatever," and be like, "I'm not using AI." But you're kind of right, though. I mean, so the problem, I was gonna say the problem with AI, there's many. The problem with it is that for starters, it's kind of hard to talk about because AI, from like where humanity is as far as AI is concerned, is a supremely broad concept. There's so many ways it can be used, is currently being used, will probably be used in the future, that it is hard to really hone in on very specific stuff. But I think one of the biggest problems with it from like an optics standpoint, if you want to go that route, is the majority of the like really front-facing, consumer-facing ways that you see AI used are really bad.
Yes.
You know? Because we're not seeing. Sorry, but like I'm just gonna finish that point real quick. We're not seeing the AI that's being used in medical fields to help, you know, fucking comb through data or A, B, C, and D, and like ways that could genuinely be considered a plus for humanity. Which I'm sure it's being used in ways that are good for people. But when you are a consumer, the ways you see AI are in really shitty art that people are making, which is, you know, made by literally scraping other people's work and, you know, generating terrible looking shit that looks, you know, all the same. And we see it in like weird fucking chat bots that are either weird fucking RP shit or fucking like your assistant bots that are, you know, like sycophants that will like tell you everything you say is right. And we see it in just really exploitative and yes, and kill yourself. And it just happened. AI has told people to kill themselves, and they've killed themselves. Like, crazy shit has happened with AI. Like, most of the ways that we as consumers see it are the most exploitative ways it could possibly be being used with the current way that we have it. And that's, you know, probably because of corporations being evil and all sorts of other bullshit. But, like, it really is, like, the majority of the, like, ways that the public interacts with these LLMs is in a net negative way for society, you know, which is really unfortunate because I'm sure that there are a lot of ways that AI could be utilized as a technology. Once again, very broad technology, like that could be considered perhaps a net good for society. But like unemploying artists is not that way, right? It's being used to exploit people and to make people that are incredibly wealthy already wealthy. And it's not being used in a way that actually helps really anyone in a truly material way. And it's also incredibly expensive, and it's a massive bubble, and all the money behind it is fucking fake. And it's going to cause a massive economic collapse in the very near future, in all likelihood, because no one's actually making any money off of it. And that's terrifying because the entirety of like the fact that we keep seeing the stock market hit highs, which it almost always is hitting highs, that's how the stock market works, it's kind of all bullshit. But so much of that is because of AI, which is powered by, once again, like companies investing in themselves. I mean, investing in other companies that are investing in other companies that are promising this big return on AI that are not going to fucking get it, because now you are seeing companies effectively getting the bill for like all the tokens and all the AI that they are using in place of employees. And it's more expensive for them than having the employees was. I mean, like, all in all, I feel like I jumped around a lot there, but like it's just not good. It's the thing for anybody really, except like, you know, the people that own the LLM.
Funny you say that. Let me share with you a website called isaiprofitable.com. And so
is this going to steal my data for AI?
Yes, it's going to steal all of your data.
These are red.
Big
it's all red.
No.
It's like the metaverse, Jesus.
Yeah. So even the companies that own the AI, Amazon, Alphabet, Microsoft, Meta, OpenAI, they are all still totally in losses.
Hey, NVIDIA, baby! We're in the green!
NVIDIA, the one company that actually makes money here is the people who sell the chips. Like,
oh yeah, they're making bank.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And you look at these losses, hundreds of billions of dollars, totaling across all companies, over $1 trillion. And like, here we are still, just kind of like they are banking on anything. They just need to figure out how to make it profitable without realizing that. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Consumer-focused AI is bullshit. There is no consumer-focused AI that makes sense. You know, it doesn't work as, like, whatever, an assistant, a chatbot. I think it's awful.
It's prohibitively expensive.
yeah, it's prohibitively expensive. And I think even like having the top of Google search being like a little AI summary.
Oh my God.
Awful, terrible.
Yes.
DuckDuckGo does it now. Fucking hate it. Need to find a new search engine now. Like I just think everything that's consumer facing, like, again, there are applications for AI in science, in medicine, in, technology. But I think the big thing about AI that people don't really realize is that while that is true, none of the AI that you or I will ever see or use is going to be something that's good. It is always going to be awful. It's going to be slop.
Yeah.
And like, AI can exist, but the fact that we're pushing for it so hard to be used by everybody is the problem.
And it's used by everybody in everything as well. They kind of want it to be a part of things that don't even really make sense for it to be a part of. And I think there's also just a fundamental misunderstanding from a lot of people on what AI actually kind of is functionally, because I am not someone who can claim to know all that much about it. I mean, I try to stay informed on a lot of stuff. But like, for example, when you talk about like chatbots, right? I think some people are very naive in the fact that they kind of think they're talking to an actual entity that thinks it's a character, effectively. Like name any fictional character, right? Fucking Goku,
There you go.
If I have an AI chatbot, right? And it's like, fucking Goku's my workout buddy now. I talk to Goku every time that I'm, going to the gym. He gives me inspiration, whatever, fucking cool. He works out a lot, makes sense. You are not like saying, hey, Goku, man, I this last set, I really need your help, man. I need you to give me some motivation, help get me through whatever bullshit you're saying to your AI. Get friends, by the way, for Christ's sake. But you're not talking to an entity that thinks it is Son Goku. You are feeding your response into a large language model whose instructions are take this information and create a response as if it were the character Goku from, whatever. And that's really like the long and short of what it is. I kind of think like the current version of AI is really kind of just like predictive text on steroids. I think is like a very apt way to put it. Because we do not have actual artificial intelligence, at least like not in a public. Maybe that's kind of what I think the sort of fake money that's going into AI is like really there for, because the idea is whatever company gets like real, actual, usable, useful AI kind of, I mean, not to be dramatic, but kind of rules the world in a way.
Yeah, they win, like, quote unquote.
They win, right? So that's why everybody's dumping money into these shitty fucking LLMs and shit, is because, yes, they're not profitable right now. They're not real AI right now, and they're far too broad in their usage to be like cost effective for any particular task. I was listening actually to The Lemonade Stand, which is a podcast that is like a couple guys, it's like Doug and Atrioc and who's the third guy? I don't even remember. But they talk about a lot of like broad like topics, just news and technology and stuff. And they were talking about AI. And that is kind of the crux of a lot of what the problems are economically with it, I think, is that the models are too broad in their purpose to the point where, they are just so expensive. Where if there was an LLM that was specifically tailored for one specific task and you only used it for that task, it would be not only better at that task, but also far less expensive to have, So
right.
I don't know. I mean, there's there's so much shit with it,
Right. I think one of the best like allegories I've heard is the bad tomato allegory, where it's like when you run a tomato farm and you've got like hundreds of tomatoes per second going through a trough, and you need to figure out which ones are the tomatoes that are no good. That's the kind of thing where it's like, yes, we already have the technology for that, right? There are technologies for like, hey, here's a couple pictures of bad tomatoes, here's a couple pictures of good tomatoes, like that's your data set, and it's kind of like AI. And I think stuff like that makes sense. It's hyper specific. It's made for ultra like menial tasks, That is the stuff where I would be like, okay, you know what? That's fine. You can run it on like a laptop. It doesn't matter. Like that's fine. But yeah, like these like literally football fields upon football fields upon football fields worth of data centers, like hundreds of thousands of square kilometers. It is completely ridiculous. By the way, football fields is the that's the imperial measurement, the standardized.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Like there isn't a good argument for AI in the hands of the consumer, as far as I see it. And I always just like when I see people who argue for AI, it conveys to me a couple of things. It conveys either purposeful ignorance, it conveys what is it? Misanthropy,
smelliness,
smelliness. Yeah, generally being kind of a stinky person.
Usually, you know.
Yeah,
little stinky.
And like it conveys apathy. Like it's just like it to me it is an indicator of a person who is maybe not a great person. You know, if you've been exposed to the reality of AI and you're still for it. I'm
right. And like if you are a business or a company or any kind of organization and your like post about your big event you've got coming up is an AI generated image that says, hey, come on down to whatever, we're going to have this big event. Anyone that is like around our age is going to immediately, you know, except the ones that are like deep AI bros, they're going to be like, this not only I can see that it's AI, but this to me denotes a lack of good qualities in the event that you have, right? If your event is AI art or it's bullshit like that, or it's some AI generated video, then it immediately to me and a lot of other people is going to denote low quality, which is, by the way, another one of the big issues that a lot of AI companies are facing is that, broadly speaking, consumers do not like AI generated content. It's a lot. I feel like a lot of it is really like old people that can't fucking tell the difference, or like the people that are so inundated with it that they don't care, right? Those are the audiences that are okay seeing AI generated content. But like if you're scrolling your feed on whatever platform it is you're looking at, you do not have a good opinion probably of something you see that is, you know, some AI generated monstrosity.
Yeah. It like, ugh. That's another thing is, I see it a lot in more public chat rooms where it's like people will just kind of they'll just post like an AI response to something, or they'll post an AI image, you know, maybe not realizing it's AI, and I'm just like, can you not see that this is AI? Like, this makes no sense whatsoever. This image, it's like very obvious, and I've started to see it with videos too. Someone in the Quake mapping server posted a video of cats go like in like plastic tubs going down the stairs, and it was very obviously AI. Like the physics was just all off, didn't make any sense, and like I guess they just didn't realize that it was AI. It was someone who was familiar with the rules, and it's like. I'm guessing, like, I don't know if they're old. I don't know if they're just kind of like not familiar. If they're just kind of stupid, you know. And it always to me is like, okay, what's the deal here?
The unfortunate reality, though, is that we have, both of us, probably almost certainly done that too. That's unfortunate. Like. You have probably shared something that was AI generated, even if you still don't know it is, because you can usually tell, but every now and then, like AI will make something and it'll just look normal, you know, like it isn't always obvious. I feel like I feel like I have definitely probably at some point in my life shared a video that was AI was used on it in some way, or shared a picture that AI was used. But like you said, most of the time it's very obvious, but like sometimes it isn't, you know. So I mean, I don't know. It's very hard in today's world to like always know as well, which is kind of shitty.
and I think I would be remiss to talk about that specifically and not mention um, not mention High on Pot News. So there's a series of videos by I think their name is Heza, and their whole thing is making very absurdist AI videos, right? It's extraordinarily absurdist, and it focuses around like meme videos. Basically, it's and the big one is the Key and Peele sketch High on Pot News, and like it's okay. I'm gonna post one of them, and we're both gonna watch it real quick. And
okay.
Like do like a live reaction. Let me.
Oh, good.
Here.
This better not have fucking Freddy Fazbear in this one.
This is just an old one that I copied the link of. So let's go 3, 2, 1, go.
Me too. God damn it.
Like, like, what do you mean? and it's so obviously AI. Like the voices, the movements, so obviously AI. And that kind of harkens back to like the old eras of like, again, Will Smith eating spaghetti. Like, it is absurdist. It's just this mishmash of bizarre visuals and bizarre ideas. Like, I hate to say it, but it's entertaining to see that. Like a part of me is like, okay, this is a little bit funny. It's hard to pretend like it's not funny. You know, it is funny to me.
Yeah, I get that, but at the same time, right? You can't say like, you know, it's like we said before, right? AI for me, but not for thee. You know, like, to be, I guess, morally consistent, this kind of has to be bad too, though. You know? Right.
It's like, unfortunately, it's like an impasse where it's like, ultimately, like, even though this is entertaining, you know what Heza does with these AI video generators, it is part of the issue, you know, the big issue, quote unquote, which is people just using it to generate bullshit. And so I think, like, this can be entertaining, and like this is where the nuance comes in, right? Where this can be entertaining. Will Smith eating spaghetti can be entertaining, whatever. But ultimately, like, the big picture is that it's all bad and needs to go away. So I
mean,
I would give up High on Pot News for
if it meant that AI wasn't around.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, I have to be kind of the same way, because, like, I mean, I have absolutely watched things that I know are AI generated. I mean, like, there are, I remember, like, when AI like stuff was really popping off a couple years ago, I definitely have seen shit that is very clearly AI generated that I'm sure, you know, had me giggling, you know, certainly in the past. I mean, there's actually this really, I was going to say big creator, but not really, that he makes, like, I think he actually, I'm pretty sure the actual methodology is he writes the lyrics and he sings them, but he has an AI filter, I think, is what it is, where he does, like, drill rap is like SpongeBob characters.
Oh gosh.
And it blows up. He's called, I think he's called Glorp is literally his name or something like that on, like, YouTube. But that's obvious. It's still AI content. I remember I've seen a couple of them, and I'm like, okay, some of these lyrics are kind of funny, It's funny that, like, you know, fucking SpongeBob was out here singing about a fucking turf war and shit, whatever. And I've also seen, like, you know, the people have done a billion things where it's like former U.S. presidents fucking doing A, B, C, and D. They're playing Call of Duty. They're doing tier lists. They're singing like fucking anime song covers or whatever. Like, all this stuff has happened. All this stuff has been made. And people have seen it, and you can even look at one of these individual pieces and be like, I can see the humor in this, right? I can see how this could be funny, even if it's not to me. It is funny to somebody. But at the same time, yes, we have to be consistent and be like, it's bad. You know, like, even if you see this creator or see this thing, all in all, like, the way that AI is used in its current state, specifically with generative AI, is just bad. You know, and I don't think that's a hot take for... This is not a hot take at all. You know, I mean,
right.
Most people that are like, you know, I guess really internet, like even kind of internet savvy, I guess, have reached that same conclusion. That is a net negative for us as a society. Whether you want to talk about just like the internet content environment where, you have these channels that are shitting out 18 videos an hour that are completely AI generated that are just clogging up the fucking YouTube algorithm, or whether it's corporations making the fucking shitty Coke Christmas advertisement from like this year. I don't know, like Coke's like Christmas commercial this past year was like completely AI generated. McDonald's had an AI generated commercial, I think, last year that was really big. I mean, it's pervasive in like every form of media right now. I will not be surprised if within the next couple of years we have broadcast like actual television that is primarily AI generated. And that's terrible. That's bad, for a number of reasons. TV is also like just not as big as it used to be. Obviously, most content I think is like the internet streaming things mostly these days. But like, I don't know. It is incredibly pervasive, but like it's worth pointing out, like you can absolutely find AI generated content that could tickle your fancy. That could be funny. That could be entertaining. But it's all coming from the same pigsty, It's all the same slop in the end, and it's not something you can really completely avoid at all. Like, it's unavoidable in the modern internet climate. But I think you just have to recognize it and like make a conscious decision to support good content instead. I think is the best thing you can do on like an individual level as a consumer when it comes to AI. Because unfortunately, for a lot of things, whether it's AI, whether it's like environmental stuff in general or whatever, individual activism is kind of a scam for a lot of this stuff, because there's nothing like that you can do as an actual individual to do something, like, because people talk about this a lot with environmentalism. They're like, hey, yes, you can take shorter showers, you can use more reusable stuff. But at the end of the day, even if you're contributing nothing to pollution, nothing to the environment, the fucking factory down the street's doing what you would do in 18 years in a week, or like this corporation or this industry or whatever. Like, it is so hard for you as an individual to have a big impact on it, but we as consumers just have to make a decision to, I think, just do our best to support real content, I think is mostly what we can do right now.
Right. Like, the thing I've heard is like, even if literally everyone were to start taking like every civilian, I guess you could say, every like non-corporation were to start taking environmental action, were to start recycling, were to start, reducing their carbon footprint as much as possible, it would not come even close to like 1% of the current carbon footprint that's being left by humanity. It is pretty much all in the mega corporation factories, the fucking power plants, whatever.
I mean, like with water specifically, like, now water's been used for AI, but like, the amount of water that goes into an hamburger, is a lot, because the agriculture industry is where like the majority of water usage in America, I think, is. Because you have to, water the cow. You got to water the thing you feed the cow. You got a lot of cows. You got a lot of fields for the things that feed the cow. There's so much water that gets used in this stuff that, like, individual activism, like you were saying, doesn't do shit, But, yeah, it's a very similar thing with AI, I think. But we've just got to kind of, I don't know, be hope-pilled about it, I guess. And, like, do our best, Yeah,
and I think, like, keeping an eye out for AI is the same as, like, doing the bare minimum. It's the same as throwing your plastics and cans in the recycling. It's like that is the bare minimum that you as an individual can do, and it's what you should do. Like it might not make a huge impact in the long term, but it's like it is the I guess you could call it like the morally just and easy thing to do.
Yeah. And to be fair, it does do something, because, I mean, like, a lot of these corporations have generally noted that there is massive consumer pushback in a lot of ways to AI. And, like, that's one of the contributing factors they say to why it's so unprofitable, though it's also just because it's prohibitively expensive. But, like, they know that the, majority of people that are actually, like, I guess, online literate, I guess you could call it, the people that aren't, like, kind of your grandpa that doesn't know what AI even is.
Right.
But like a lot of those people do not like it, and are very clear they do not like it. And that has had some kind of effect, at least, on how it's being deployed, at the very least, in, a lot of platforms.
Yeah. It's and I think that kind of leads into something that happened recently. Did you see the videos of like C-suite executives being booed when mentioning AI on in speeches?
Oh yeah, I've definitely seen like commencement speeches and stuff like that where people have talked about it and they just get completely boo-birded because, a lot of these people are graduating and wanting to enter the workforce, and they're like, all right, thank you guys for being here for, 4 years, giving this college so much money. Anyway, you guys fucking want to see Will Smith eating spaghetti? That shit's pretty cool. That's going to take your fucking job, idiot. You think you're going to have a job? Fuck you. Will Smith's eating spaghetti, asshole. What do you, like, that's what it feels like. They're not saying it like that, but you have these stuck-up old bastards that are coming up here and be like, why, don't boo me. We're looking for the guy who did this, but AI's part of the future. No, I don't work for Google. What do you mean? Like, yeah, like, it's not a good deal when you go to a college commencement and you start talking about the importance of fucking generative AI in their field. It's not going to be, you're not going to get a fucking standing ovation for that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the big thing about that too is college students aren't stupid. like they are.
That's supposed to be the whole point. Yeah.
Yeah, they are the people who understand, who have not only been exposed to this, but also amongst themselves have been awoken. They are quote unquote woke to the actual impact of AI, and it's like these are the people who most likely are going to be against AI, and it is like, you are trying to sell them this thing for some fuck ass reason. It's baffling to me.
Yeah, it's stupid, man.
All right, I think
it's pretty dystopian.
Yeah, I think that's enough ragging on AI for now.
Yeah, I feel like we went on that for a while.
Yeah. So I said my highlights: Persona 4 remake, Ocarina of Time remake, and Kingdom Hearts 4. Was there anything that you saw from the recent reveals that was kind of What was your picks?
I do have some specific picks, but before that, there is something I wanted to address that is about how games are revealed, because Persona 6 did also get revealed at the Xbox showcase.
Right, I forgot about that.
And while it was really cool to see, oh my god, it is Persona 6, I kind of didn't care, because they kind of did the Todd Howard 2018 Elder Scrolls 6 reveal, Where, do you remember that in 2018? They pan over a mountain, Elder Scrolls 6. All right, that's it, guys.
Kind of a nothing.
But that's what they did. Yeah, the entire Persona 6 trailer, because I was excited because we'd already seen Persona 4. So I didn't really think there would be a Persona 6 reveal, but I thought maybe. By the way, super weird that it's an Xbox thing now. We'll get into that in a minute. But I saw Atlas pop up again, and I'm like, world premiere Atlas? There's no way, right? But it's literally just they pan over some tombstones, basically, this kind of spooky little set piece. And then there's some flashes of kind of weird imagery. Then there's the logo, and it just says Persona 6, and that's it. And I get it, but I didn't learn anything, because it isn't as if people didn't know this game was going to happen at some point, right? If it was a situation where like it was a franchise that people genuinely presumed would not be getting a new entry anytime in the near future, just getting that reveal would be pretty sick. Like if you had some obscure series that you were a fan of that hasn't had a new fucking entry at all in like a decade and a half, it'd be sick to see that, right? To be like, oh my God, they're making a new Scrungus Bungus game. I can't believe it. You know, that's crazy. Scrungus Bungus hasn't had a game since, I know, right? Like Glup Shido. Oh my God. Like, but nobody learned anything about that, you know? Like, I feel like if you're gonna do a game reveal, you should show something. Now, you don't have to show, like, a massive amount of gameplay or a release date or anything. If it's the first time a game is being revealed, I get it. But I feel like game reveals should have a reveal, you know? Because it isn't even as if, like, there was some crazy subtitle to it or anything either that lets you infer something about the game. It's called Persona 6, which is what everybody knew it would be fucking called. And everybody already knew it was going to be green because all the leaks said it was going to be green. And that's it. That's all we know. It's the main color is green, and it's called Persona 6, and it's going to be maybe kind of spooky. I don't know. That's it. So, like, I didn't really give a shit about the reveal, you know? Like, it was cool to see it happen. But, like, I don't know. I feel like game reveals need to have something in them for them to really be a reveal. I don't know.
Right. And yeah, I think that's become pervasive. We live in a very different world nowadays compared to, like, a very good example. 1990, I think it was 1997 or 1998, or there was an event called Space World where it was big industry video games thing. The beta for The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time was playable at Space World, and like they actually had stuff set up where it was like, hey, here you can play the game, you could see, you know, the ideas we've got, and it's crazy because it's obviously anything you can find from it, it's very different from the Ocarina of Time that, you know, we got. Same thing for, I think, Super Mario 64. I assume it was a beta that was playable, different from the release. And it's like, it's crazy to me that nowadays companies are just so afraid of like even going a tenth of that, you know. They're not even wanting to show a character. They're not even wanting to show dialogue. Nothing. It is you get vague idea and title, and that's it. If you're lucky, you might get pre-rendered cinematics, you know.
Yeah,
it is.
And then like by trailer 3 or 4, you're getting gameplay, you know.
Right.
But like these first couple reveals, and the thing is with like the Elder Scrolls 6, they were just fucking lying. They had not started development yet. He's basically come out and said as much. It was at E3, which hasn't existed for half a decade. The Elder Scrolls 6 got announced at E3, man. It was 2018. And they have not done shit about it since. They just put the fucking title screen together so people would know that it existed at some point. But when you reveal that, people are like, oh my God, this is going to come out probably like 2020, maybe? I don't know. But no, dude, like, and I do think Persona 6 is probably going to come out like 2028, if I had to guess, because I don't think we're going to see anything about it until 4 Revival comes out, which is in February. So maybe like spring of next year, they'll give you like an actual trailer that maybe will have a release date, but I imagine it'll be 2028. But I don't know. I just feel like you have to show me that you actually are making a game. You know, you have to give me at least a little bit of something, which a lot of games did do that. And I am excited for a couple games, and I will get into them now if you want. But like, yeah, I don't know. That was just something that like bugged me even at the time, because like I know Persona 6 exists, so you haven't shown me anything, you know?
Right. No, this is a great point, because like sometimes I'll watch like a streamer do their reaction to you know these shows, and it's like it is a complaint I hear constantly. Where's the gameplay? You're not showing me any gameplay. I don't know anything about this game. You've given me no clue. Like it is very, I think, justified in saying like people are tired of, you know, bullshit reveals that don't tell you anything.
Yeah. And I think like a good example of doing kind of this style of reveal and it being good, the Game Awards last year, they revealed Star Wars, I think it's called Fate of the Old Republic, which is like a sequel to the Knights of the Old Republic games, which are really beloved games, considered like some of the best Star Wars stories by a lot of fans, period. And those are like old ass games, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic and Knights of the Old Republic 2. And just having that reveal that like, hey, we're making another one is really cool, even if there's no gameplay associated with it, when it is like an iconic thing that nobody thought you were getting anything more of, right? Right. It's the Elder Scrolls 6 that like everybody knows there will be more Elder Scrolls. Everybody knows there was going to be more Persona. I think that style of reveal is just really lame and doesn't really do much, you know? Yeah. But I was still excited to see it. Like at the moment it was hype, you know?
Exactly. I think that's a great point too, because it's like, because it is a sequel to Knights of the Old Republic, like that already kind of it opens a lot of possibilities. That could be very, very much like anything, but it by itself it is a huge reveal. For like Elder Scrolls 6 and Persona 6, it's like, okay, well, we kind of knew that this was going to happen because these are long-running series. And anything that would be a quote-unquote reveal would be gameplay-oriented, right? It would be something more specific because everyone's familiar with the formula by now. Everyone kind of knows what's going on.
I don't need the gameplay, like, because they did, when they first revealed Persona 4 Revival, like, the only gameplay was, like, Yu Narukami running down the street a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
I don't need really that for Persona 6, but, like, give me some kind of visual, because like this is also a series that is known for some really great visual style and some shit like that. Show me like the protagonist. Show me his fucking cool persona or some shit. Like give me something. You know, you got to give me some sort of thing to cling to besides just a logo. But yeah, I don't know.
Show me the Velvet Room.
That was just my opinion. Yeah, show me something. Let me get my boy Igor in there. Let me see who his weird assistant is this time. Like let me see something. Give me some sort of thing. But I don't know.
Yeah.
But cool reveals. I do think there were a few that I was very excited about. The one thing that I wanted to see from the Nintendo Direct was more about the new Fire Emblem game, which there is one. Because that was another game that got revealed, like, I feel like it might have been a couple years ago, but like every time Nintendo's done something since, people have been like, okay, like, can we get a release date? Can we get another trailer? And they did finally get a release date for that. I'm a big Fire Emblem fan. I don't know if you know that. Like, I love those games. But I'm very excited to see that. That's coming out in September, so I'm definitely going to have to buy that. I'm actually right now, I'm playing through the GameCube Fire Emblem game, Path of Radiance. That's the one with Ike from Smash Brothers in it.
We like Ike.
Friend of the show, Ike from Smash Brothers, you know.
I actually love playing Ike in Brawl.
Oh, nice. But yeah, I don't know. I also, by the way, I'm really liking that game so far. Like, they do a lot of fun stuff, and I think like the way that the world building is like introduced in a kind of organic way feels good early on in the story of that game. But anyway, so I'm really excited for Fortune's Weave. I'm gonna buy that. I have a Switch too, so that's the only new console I have, anyways, because that's the only thing that has exclusives on it that I care about anymore. You know, but. Because if I want to play Pokemon or I want to play Fire Emblem, I got to buy a fucking Switch too, you know? But aside from that, they also revealed a new Spyro game, which I'm really excited about, because I love the original Spyro trilogy, Spyro the Dragon, Ripto's Rage, and Year of the Dragon. And when they made the Reignited trilogy back in, 2018, 2019, I played that. You know, some people that were, like, big fans of the original weren't as big of fans of it, because, like, some of the people that are more, like, deeply familiar with the mechanics of the game, I know I've seen people that are like speedrunners of the original game not really like it as much. But I loved the Reignited trilogy. It was super nostalgic for me. And this is the same company that's making this fourth game. So I hope it's good. They're going to change some stuff, but I really hope it's good because I love those games. They are some of the most nostalgic, nostalgia-bait games for me, because one of the games I played so much on the PS1 was the third Spyro game, Spyro Year of the Dragon. So it's just, I don't know, very nostalgic for me. So I'm excited about that. Obviously, Persona 4 Revival. I want to see some more about it. People have talked about, some people like some of the new visuals, some people don't. I will say a lot of the portraits so far, I do think the golden ones actually kind of look a little better, but I'll give it some time. I'll see when it actually comes out. They haven't given us the Adachi portraits yet, and that's really what matters.
Yeah.
So we'll see there. But aside from that, what else? Because I didn't watch the State of Play. There was definitely some other cool stuff. I just don't remember what it was off the top of my head, but there's definitely some other fun stuff. I don't know. Any other game reveals that you were kind of excited about?
Honestly, not really. In fact, one of the releases, I guess you could say, that really got my attention recently, and I think this leads into one of my topics pretty well, is are you aware of the you know how Ocarina of Time got decompiled, and then there's a PC port now, a fan PC port?
On very legitimate hardware? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. On your official Nintendo hardware?
No. Like, you can run it on a PC.
Yeah, with your official Nintendo hardware. Right?
I mean, you need to dump
Nintendo
your ROM.
PC? No. What do you mean? What? What's a ROM? I've never heard of such a thing.
No. It's all above board. It's all above board. It's good. So it's a fan decompilation, and then they made a native PC port. It's not emulated. It is just it runs on PC for Ocarina of Time. And recently, there has been the same thing done for The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, and it's called Dusklight. And honestly, that was something that I was like, dang, that's pretty cool. As a kid, I played a lot of Twilight Princess. I played a lot of Wii games in general. Love Smash Brothers Brawl, love Mario Kart Wii. And so Twilight Princess getting decompiled and getting a PC port was like one of the big things for me, like lately, because I was like, I don't know, it feels like fans almost care more about old games than the companies that made the old games, you know?
Oh, there's no almost about it. I mean, that's just true. I mean, like, that's just a factual statement. Like, a lot of, like, they don't give a shit about, like, you know, a lot of these older games. They're remaking Ocarina of Time not because they fucking want to, you know, give a love letter. Now, some people are making it because they want to give a love letter to the fans. Absolutely, by the way. I never want to, like, dunk on the people that are actually, like, really impassioned parts of the industry that are helping make this stuff. But, like, Nintendo isn't greenlighting this. Big Mario isn't greenlighting this because they want to give a gift to the fans. They're doing it because it's one of the most prolifically popular video games of all time. And they're going to give it. It's because it's Final Fantasy VII. You know, like, it's that same kind of thing. But you know, they're not presumably not going to make it into 3 fucking different video games like they did with Final Fantasy VII.
I think Ocarina of Time is literally the highest scored game on Metacritic right now.
It's the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood of gaming.
Yeah.
Or I guess it's a lot older than Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, so I guess it'd be the other way around. But, like, you know what I mean. It's the one that when people want to point to, oh, what's an iconic and really great old-time anime, that's one of the ones they'll pick, you know? Aside from, like, the big mainstream ones. And, like, if you say the same thing about games, Ocarina of Time is one of the ones they're going to say. Like, it is one of the most iconic games just in the medium in general.
Yeah, and like, we already got kind of a remake with Ocarina of Time 3D, which was the 3DS port. I played that quite a bit when I had a 3DS, but like, it was not nearly as good as an experience as the Ocarina of Time PC port that was made by fans. Like, there are so many options in the PC port that just not only like improve the experience, but allow for so much replayability. Like, you can do randomizers in the thing. You can do boss rush. You can do, you know, Master Quest dungeons. You can do like whatever you want. There are so many options, and it's all built in to this PC port. And like, it feels weird knowing that whatever comes out of the Ocarina of Time remake, it probably won't be as good of an experience, or it will only be on par with the experience that the Ocarina of Time original PC port has. I've seen some speculation that maybe it's going to be more open world. The original Ocarina of Time has a lot of loading zones where it's like, you walk into a specific loading plane. So there's been speculation that it's going to be more open. Like there's not going to be separate maps. It's all going to be one map. And I think, that works. That would be cool. But I don't know. It feels weird that like there is this old stuff that is cared about so much more than by even the makers themselves. And one thing I think is worth pointing out is, have you ever heard of the game Bloodstained Ritual of the Night?
No, I have not.
So Bloodstained Ritual of the Night it's a Metroidvania, and in fact, Iga was literally on the development team. That's the person who made Symphony of the Night.
Yeah, friend of the show.
Friend of the show. Love that guy. So Iga was on the development team. It got so much post-launch support. It got a randomizer. It got different playable characters. It got a classic mode that makes it more like the original Castlevania. It got like all this stuff that is like, it was a love letter. It is similar to the PC port of Ocarina of Time, where it's like there is that much stuff in that game, and it is amazing. I love it. Like it's so much longevity. It's obvious that it was made by people who actually like not only care about the industry but care about the game that they made and want to keep continuing like giving the fan base things to do with it. And then in stark contrast, you have things like the Call of Duty games. And I just want to pull up some things here. So I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
What is the earliest Call of Duty game, do you think, that's still full priced? The same price as it was on launch.
I mean, at least Black Ops. Black Ops and Black Ops 2 are probably full priced on Steam right now. I know that for sure. There's no way, like, is World at War like fucking full price?
Okay. Here's some stats for you. Call of Duty World at War released 2008. That's 18 years ago.
Yep. Shout out Obama winning the election, friend of the show.
Currently priced $20.
Okay, that's not full price.
Not full price. Black Ops 1 released.
That's full. That's $60. That's $59.99.
Released 2010, 16 years ago. Currently,
that's full price.
$40.
Oh, okay, that's not full price. That's not full price.
However, it's
DLC, on sale right now, probably.
Each DLC is still $15, and there are 4 DLCs.
That's tough. That's $100.
That's $100
for 2000.
And there is no package, from what I could see. You have.
There's
to
not
pay
even like a bundle.
Nope.
That's crazy.
You have to pay $100.
Black Ops 2 is full price, though, I bet.
Black Ops 2 released 2012. That's 14 years ago. Currently $60.
Yep, there it is.
That, like, okay, like, I'm gonna lead into something else, like a little bit more related to what I was talking about, but that is just ridiculous. To go on a little tangent, the fact that those games are still as expensive as they are. There are games that like are completely free now that are as old as World at War because they're so old.
Yeah, even a game like Borderlands 2 that has 8 billion DLCs is almost always like on sale for like some big bundle where you can buy all of them for like a somewhat okay price, you know?
Yeah, usually it's like
very
$20 to
frequently
$30 for everything.
Yeah.
And
it's another game that has like four main DLCs and a bunch of like side ones, I think. I'm pretty sure it's
5 now.
Oh, 5. Yeah, 5. Fuck, forgot about that one.
Yeah. I wish I could forget.
Hey, we had some fun. Hey, I think we had some good times with that one. My opinion of that DLC got better after we played through it on our like Legendaries only playthrough. I feel like we had a lot of fun with it.
Maybe. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah. So what I was gonna lead into with the Call of Duty thing. So those games that I mentioned, World at War, Black Ops, and Black Ops 2, if you play them online right now, you are going to be exposing yourself to remote code execution exploits.
Okay, cool.
So there are very well-known exploits where people can execute code just on your machine if you're connected to a server. And so that means multiplayer just is no good out of the box. However, there are mods, or not mods. I guess they're what are they? They're like clients. They're hooks,
plugins. I don't know.
Plugins, whatever. It's called the Plutonium Project. It is.
There's thingies.
There's the Plutonium Project, which is a unified sort of launcher for World at War, Black Ops 2, and Modern Warfare 3. And what it does is it allows people to host their own servers and play multiplayer without risk of remote code execution exploits. Again, it's like these are games that are still nearly full price, and the multiplayer is unplayable out of the box. Literally, you will get like fucked if you play multiplayer.
That's the technical term for it. I mean, like you're getting fucked. Like
you bring your PC to the shop, and he's like, "Oh, you got fucked. You got fucked.
They fucked you, man.
We got another fucking here." And the same thing with Black Ops 3. So Black Ops 3 also obviously full price. Has remote code execution exploits. That was released, I believe, 2015. And
that sounds right.
Yeah. And again, there is a fan project called T7 Patch for Black Ops 3. Makes it playable. And makes it so that you don't have to worry about remote code execution exploits. Why is it that Activision, right? It's Activision.
Yep.
Like one of the biggest game companies on Earth. I think they got bought out at some point. But like
if so, they're under Microsoft now. Maybe.
You know what? I'm gonna look this up. Who Activision?
They own Spyro and Crash. Activision does.
Right. Let's see. Wikipedia.
Which is interesting. I think so. I mean, I think they might be under the Microsoft umbrella now. Not maybe they are still independent, but I don't know who else they'd be under.
Serves as the publishing business for its parent company, Activision Blizzard. Activision Blizzard is a subsidiary of
Microsoft, maybe.
Yes.
Yes. Go me.
A subsidiary of Xbox, along with Xbox Game Studios and ZeniMax Media. So, Microsoft, in general.
Yeah.
Basically, like these are some of the most profitable companies, in this industry, and they're also doing this. They're also just not giving support, post-launch support, long-term to their games. And I kind of get it. Like for maybe World at War, that's nearly 20 years ago. I don't think like people would expect at this point, if something were to be found, that to be patched. But for games that are still full price, for Black Ops 2, for Black Ops 3, like, if you're going to be charging $60, you really should be paying attention to exploits, to anything that's wrong with it. I just think it's ridiculous. And this harkens back really to the whole Stop Killing Games initiative. And I think it's really shitty. You know, it's a shitty move by Microsoft or Activision to completely just like go hands off pretty much after the launch of these games. I think Black Ops 4 is probably the one that's most like recent and still doesn't have like remote code execution exploits that have been discovered. Don't quote me on that. It might, you know, but like, I just think it's ridiculous that you can still buy these games nearly full price or actually full price and cannot experience a very large part of what they were intended to be, right? Because like, while Black Ops and Black Ops 2, they have, you know, the campaign, like, that is not what you buy Black Ops for, right? That's not what you buy Call of Duty for. Not anymore, at least. You know, that may have been the case back in like Call of Duty,
the before time.
Yeah, when Call of Duty to Call of Duty 4, when it was like a Quake 3 mod, you know.
At least you can play zombies, you know.
Yeah, and nowadays it just feels scummy. It feels weird and scummy that you have these games that literally get more support from the community that have paid money to play the game,
right,
than the company. I don't know. I just wanted to highlight that because that kind of like, it kind of attaches nicely, I think, to the whole the fan support of Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess.
Yeah, I mean, and I get that. And the thing is, I mean, obviously, like, you as a fan of the game, and if we're just being, like, pragmatic about it, like, you are more incentivized to want to support Black Ops and Black Ops 2 than Activision is at this point, you know? Because, like, there's really not a tangible benefit. And probably, like, if we're being honest, a lot of the people that worked on those games probably just don't fucking work for the company anymore as well.
Yeah.
Like, but... yeah, I mean, whereas fans are incentivized because they are people that genuinely enjoy and love the project. And there are a lot of people at the, like, once again, so many people that are in the industry are incredible, passionate artists and writers and programmers that care about the medium and care about projects and care about the things in the art that they make. But, you know, the people that are the actual wielders of the levers of power within these industries, more often than not, do not care about it at all. Which is kind of a broad thing to say, but, like, you know, I think is broadly true, you know, for the people that are, like, actually in charge of the big financial decisions of, do we need to, you know, how many resources should be put into post-launch support for this title, or A, B, C, and D? Or should we care about this game that is still up and is still full price, but is, you know, a decade plus old? You know, like, those people at the top are usually not the ones that are as, you know, impassioned about the field, you know, I would say broadly, than the people that work on these games, you know, at the time of their releases. But what you're talking about really goes to show how important like fan and user work is when it comes to the continuation and the preservation, a lot of times, of games in the medium. And that's why, you know, the you know, people talk about emulation and ROMs and things like that being such an important tool for, you know, just the preserving of a lot of these games. Because as far as these companies are concerned, you know, the actual CEOs and things like that, once it's hit the shelves, once it's been there for a while, you know, they don't really, they're not incentivized to really do shit about it. You know,
they've made their money.
They've made their money. They've made their product. You know, they've gotten their reviews. They've gotten, you know, they have the numbers for their shareholder meeting, whatever. Like, it doesn't really matter if, you know, the game is playable 10 years down the road when they've released 7 games since then, because they're on, like, these fucking yearly release schedule things that are never really healthy for the medium. But yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, it's it's one of the many topics that we could discuss that ends up boiling down to big rich corporate guy bad. You know, I mean, which is like, you know, a very common thing that people are going to find if they are looking at a lot of topics, whether it's in gaming or literally any other field, is that, you know, big corporate guy greedy, big corporate guy bad, which is a boring ass answer. But yeah, that's the reason that like Call of Duty is still full price 20 years later and isn't in an unplayable state. It's because big corporate guy bad. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's the long and short of it, you know. And it is kind of bleak sometimes, but there's a lot of good people and a lot of good companies and a lot of good institutions in the medium. Well, good companies is a harsh word. I don't know. Most companies are most companies. Some of them are okay, you know. But there's great people in these companies, right? That care, that really value the medium, and you know, like we joked about it with Jeff Keighley, right? Like people like him are big advocates for the medium, and you know, platform a lot of people that do care about, you know, the medium and care about the art they're producing. So I don't know. I mean, I don't want it to just boil down to shit kind of sucks, but shit kind of sucks. You know?
Yeah, I think like to talk about like the good ones, quote unquote, real quick. So. Left 4 Dead 2 and Team Fortress 2, both games that came out around 2008-ish. I think Left 4 Dead 2 is 2009. I think Team Fortress 2 came out 2007?
I don't know.
Around 2008. Basically the time of World at War, and have received immense post-launch support. Even Left 4 Dead 2, a game that has no more microtransactions at all. There's no hats, there's no cosmetics. Like it still gets updates whenever something is found. And if I'm looking right here, the last update was February 5th, 2025. And it fixed an issue with Linux compatibility. Like there are people at Valve who still update these games, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's really weird. Again, it's just weird. It's weird to see this broad spectrum of like feelings about things. Yeah, it would be nice if we could have, and I get that Valve doesn't make games anymore, and that's kind of shitty. Like Steam kind of is a monopoly, whatever. But it would be nice if there were more companies who like, where everyone cared about video games as much as Valve, where it's very clearly about like quality first. It's about users first. It's about, you know, like solving actual problems, doing actual good work. I don't know. It's weird to me that Valve is like one of the only big companies that currently exists where that still seems to be like the ecosystem, you know? That used to be the case. I'm assuming it used to be the case for a lot more companies. I think especially during the time of point and click adventures, it was, you know, there were a lot more companies and they were a lot more close knit, and so company ideologies were probably a lot less cynical at that time.
Right.
And nowadays you have like these companies that are more money than God sort of things. And it's that I think kind of inherently requires people who only think about things from a numbers perspective, who don't care about the medium as much, who don't want to see a thriving community built around their game and just want to see how much money are we making, you know? Like for the games industry to have become as big as it was, there was kind of almost the necessity for those people. But that's not really the games industry I want to live in, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's why, at least personally, I kind of inundate myself much more with indie games. The Balatros, the Binding of Isaacs, the what else? What other games?
Stardew Valley is a great example because
Stardew Valley.
It's a 10-year-old game now, and there's going to be a 1.7 update.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, you're gonna be able to marry Clint and Sandy.
Damn.
I'm not joking. Like, they're gonna add marryable.
We've been
Clint,
cucking Clint
like,
this whole time, and now we can cuck Emily. Or is that?
Yeah, like, I
that...
even have the thing pulled up here that there was like the post from the 10-year anniversary, which was it was in February. But yeah, 1.7 is going to add some more depth to some areas. It's going to, add Clint and Sandy as marryable NPCs. I'm sure it'll probably add some kind of new festival. But like, this is an indie game that was made originally by like one guy, and because this game was so successful, and presumably, Concerned Ape made a fucking shit ton of money off of this game, I assume.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So he has, in return for doing that, continued to, and he doesn't even work by himself. I think he has people that work with him now, but like he's making more shit. Even if he's still working on his new game, he's making more updates for this game because it's had so much, love and support for it. I mean, I have 638 hours in it on Steam, apparently, Like, this is a game that has had so much content in it, and it continues to get more updates. And it is an indie game. And like you said, a lot of these indie titles and these smaller studios, I mean, these are generally made and run, if they're smaller studios, by people that actually do have a vested interest in wanting gaming to be good, as opposed to people that have a vested interest in wanting the numbers for their corporation look good, And right. To be fair, to pretend that you don't need that second part would be ignorant on our part. You do need to make your company's numbers look good. That is objectively true. Unfortunately,
that's just kind of part of the capitalistic whole thing.
Like it would be great if all that mattered is that you made a beautiful work of art or whatever in the gaming world. But obviously, profit matters, and yeah, you could certainly make an argument that having a team of people to actively monitor and update every fucking Call of Duty game ever is probably not something that is reasonable for Activision to do, even as a largely successful, since circling back to them, since we were talking about, Call of Duty as kind of an example for this whole, long-term support versus like customer support and shit like that kind of thing. Like, it would not probably be reasonable for there to be a dev team that is specifically tasked with updating World at War and one that's updating Black Ops 1 and updating Black Ops 2 anytime there's an exploit or whatever that's found. But there is a happy medium that there could be more legacy support for games where you can still actively play online with them and not get, virtually gangbanged, like.
Right. I think, because going back to Team Fortress 2 real quick, I think the dev team for Team Fortress 2 is literally one guy now. And like his whole thing is basically it's managing each new, release of hats or skins or whatever. And all of it's like community stuff. He basically just aggregates everything and just makes it a package, sends it out. And makes
John Fortress.
He makes a more $1 billion for Valve every time there's a new update. And like I think like that's something that these games could get. It could, like, one or two people, literally, maybe per game, even, or maybe not even per game. Maybe it's just two people who monitor the online situation for like all of the previous Call of Duties. If there's an exploit, work on it. Like if there's some major like remote code execution where it's like your PC will explode. You will die. Patch it. It doesn't need to be big. It doesn't need to be, you don't need to put content updates, but just like,
right.
Just make sure that people can, at the very least, still play the game in its entirety if you're going to be charging $60.
Yeah, it would be a different story if this was like a game that you really couldn't buy anymore, or if it was like fucking $5 to buy Black Ops. Like if you're buying Call of Duty for $5, I assume at that point you kind of expect that like a strange foreign man is going to infect your PC with big AIDS if you log on, but like. If you're paying $60, I mean, you should be expecting to be able to actually, do the thing that the game is for, which is shooting people in the game and having fun and teabagging people or whatever you do in Call of Duty. I don't know.
I was never like a big Call of Duty guy.
Oh, that's unfortunate. We need to play some zombies.
Well, like I played, like that's about the only thing I played was zombies. You know, like I played Black Ops 2 Zombies with my friends. I played Black Ops 3. I mean, I did play some Black Ops 3 multiplayer with some friends. Actually, when World War 2 came out, when I was in my freshman year of college, we all bought it and we did play a shit ton of that. And that was kind of fun. And I played some of like Cold War and like some of the later ones, like right before it turned into Warzone Simulator.
Yeah, right before.
Do they still make new Call of Duties, or is it all just Warzone now? Do they just update the one and then they just do? They had like a kind of neat extraction mode that I played once, I think, a couple years ago in one of their games. I don't know.
It's okay. So from what I understand, everything's under a single client now. So like there is the Call of Duty TM client, and under that client you get I think Black Ops 7 released at some point. Jesus fucking Christ. So you get Black Ops 7 and then you can as a separate thing play Warzone, and as a separate thing play, you know, the new Modern Warfare 2 remake. You know, you get all that. But yeah, it's all under one unified client, and I'm assuming that's because they just don't want to update multiple games anymore. Like if they update one of the engines, they just kind of want it to span across every new game, which makes sense.
It's probably more realistic than continuing the arduous yearly new COD cycle, which was probably a bad idea for most of the time it existed, even if you had multiple studios rotating on which ones they were working on, you know?
Yeah.
The yearly release schedule, I think, is just bad in general. I mean, it makes sense for sports games, but most of those sports games, really the main thing is like a roster update, you know, and then somehow making the game shittier than the last one. But like for Call of Duty, I mean, when you're making like when you're supposed to be making a whole new game every year, I think it was always kind of a silly thing to do. I mean, especially when we're in this modern world where, you know, you have games that are in development hell for fucking ever, you know. And it is kind of impressive, I guess, that they were able to for so long actually make that a yearly release, you know. But like, I don't know. I think it was, I don't know, probably better to just have a single client at this point, since you're mostly just updating the game at this point, really, you know.
Right, and yeah, it makes sense. I think the early release probably made more sense in an era of discs as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the advent of pretty much everything being digital download nowadays, it makes more sense. That
they just download the 150 gigabyte game every year.
Do you want to know the actual install size of the Call of Duty client right now?
Oh, it's got to be like 300 gigabytes or something disgusting.
268.28 gigabytes.
Christ.
Yeah.
All for funny gun game? Like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing? It's fucking Call of Duty. It is not that deep.
Yeah. No, like, and I can't remember. I think when I installed Black Ops 4, it was like 80 gigabytes. When I installed Cold War, it was like 115 gigabytes.
Yeah, I remember.
It was getting up there.
I had Cold War on my Xbox One, and it was like, so much of the fucking storage space I had was like one game, you know?
Yeah. No, ridiculous. But again, it's like a handful of games unified under this one launcher. So like I'm guessing it makes more sense where it's like, okay, if we reuse assets, then we don't need to like have it under multiple installs, you know? It can all be under this one unified sort of umbrella ecosystem, similar to kind of how like Apple has their own ecosystem where it's like everything just kind of talks to each other. You know, everything just kind of exists within its own bubble now of Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Let's see here. How are we doing on time? We're doing okay. We got a little bit of time left.
So I did have one thing I wanted to talk about that's sort of back to being related to the releases. And, maybe now that I'm thinking about it, just kind of a show thing, I guess. I think maybe next time and going forward, we should have like a little bit at the beginning where we kind of like go through our itinerary,
Yeah, that would make sense.
But anyway, I do want to talk a bit about Sony specifically. Kind of going back to all the releases, because we both made jokes about Sony just kind of being cucks.
Yeah.
When it comes to current, like, what, and I guess my point that I'm going to get at here is more so like, it's more so about like consoles and exclusivity and things in general. Is there a reason to own a PlayStation in 2026? Because back in like the Xbox One, PS4 days, I think PlayStation was very clearly winning, because PlayStation had, and this was their claim to fame, they had a shit ton of good exclusives. If you wanted a really good single player game, you were far more likely to find it, just objectively, on PlayStation. That's where a lot of big RPG franchises were. If you wanted to play Kingdom Hearts, you were probably playing it on PlayStation. If you wanted to play Persona, you were probably playing that on PlayStation. You couldn't play it anywhere else, right?
Right.
And I think exclusivity, it is better for the gaming community in general when there's not a bunch of exclusivity, because it makes games more available. But like Xbox kind of moved, like Xbox has like a couple franchises, like they have Halo, and like the new Gears is going to be an Xbox console exclusive. It'll still be on PC, but like it'll be only on the Xbox console. But Xbox's main thing as like a reason to have it, I think, is Game Pass these days. Like that is the primary reason to have an Xbox, because so many of those, like Persona 4 Revival, will be on Game Pass on day one. Many of these other games most of the games they announced at the Xbox Game Showcase will be available on Game Pass day one. So that is like the big reason to have an Xbox. It's probably, because they also have like Xbox Game Pass on PC, and I don't know how that works. I think you can get games like through the Microsoft Store online, I think, for free is how it works. I'm not sure.
I think so,
because I've never used it, but that's their main reason to get them. And if you want to play a Nintendo title, you do have to get a Nintendo Switch. Like if you want to play Pokemon, you got to get a Switch. If you want to play Zelda, you're going to have to get a Switch. If you want to play Fire Emblem or Metroid, like any of these games, you're going to have to get a Switch, right?
Right.
So they still have exclusivity from their big first party. They have the biggest IPs in gaming. We get it. So what is the actual reason to own like a PC? And
I think like that's a lot easier of a question to answer than.
I mean, not a PC. Did I say PC?
You said PC.
I meant PlayStation. Sorry.
I was going to say,
I meant PlayStation.
There's a lot of reasons I own a PC.
Yeah. Why don't you just have a Mac, idiot?
I can't jerk it to Fortnite on the PlayStation 5.
Well, you can. Just get Fortnite. But like, just get Fortnite, idiot. But like, yeah, what's the point in owning a PlayStation really in 2026? Because they don't really have that first party fire anymore. I mean, they still do, I'm sure, but like nobody gives a shit anymore about it, Right. And I think the big sellers of PlayStation kind of have moved away. Like, again, it's not necessarily exclusivity, but it's like, it's almost like the studios themselves have realized that there really isn't any reason to stay with PlayStation in general. Like there hasn't been enough of a reason for like Naughty Dog, we'll say, just as an example, to keep only publishing for PlayStation. I'm assuming that has to do with a lot of like internal stuff that people will probably never really have, a good grasp on, as opposed to like I don't know, what's an Xbox exclusive development studio? Yeah, I can't think of one. But every time that there was one, it would just say Xbox Game Studios. Like they have like their actual like just first party stuff,
Right.
Whoever technically makes Gears, I guess, like.
Yeah,
them.
There's probably some good example, but like Naughty Dog, that's Crash, that's Uncharted, that's so many things.
Well, not anymore.
Not anymore. But they had a bunch of PlayStation exclusive titles. And I think, again, it's probably a lot of internal stuff, but the reason, at the very least, is very much likely that there's not like enough incentive for studios to stick with individual platforms. It's probably a lot more profitable for studios to release on multiple platforms, even if it means, you need to develop for multiple platforms. Because that used to be the thing, right? It used to be, we have this small chunk of hardware that's very specifically designed, that's very highly specialized, that can do great things if you learn it and develop for it. That used to be like the reason to get a PlayStation 1 or get a Nintendo 64. Nintendo 64 had the filtering on all of their graphics. It had a lot of different hardware effects that weren't really achievable elsewhere. And the same thing with PlayStation 1. PlayStation 1, audio quality, fantastic. You could get CD audio quality in a video game. Couldn't do that with Nintendo 64. Dreamcast had internet. Pretty much nobody had internet.
They did? I didn't know that. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, that was, I think the first MMO, the first large MMO was actually one on Dreamcast, if I recall correctly. But regardless, like these used to be the reasons for exclusivity. It was highly specialized hardware, highly, you would get your team would know the hardware of a console. And because they were specialized for that console, like they really could only make games for that console, Nowadays, like everything is so ubiquitous. Computers are very powerful. You can do a lot of things with pretty bog standard hardware. And there really isn't much of like a need for specialization, I don't think, when it comes to porting. And I think like that's created a situation where it just doesn't make sense to only create your game for one platform. Does that make sense? Are you sticking with me here, Son?
Yeah, I gotcha, I think. Yeah, I don't know. Because it really did just feel like when PlayStation was on top, it was never because of their hardware. Like, because their hardware was like, I mean, like, just for raw power in their hardware. I mean, like, I'm sure the stuff you were saying about, like, the different qualities that, like, we developed this game specifically for this kind of hardware. But it wasn't because of, like, hey, I got to get a PlayStation 4 because it's so powerful. It was, I got to get a PlayStation 4 because, I got all these titles on it. And without those titles, it really is just like, well, this is the one my friends have, so that's what we play Fortnite on or whatever, So I don't know. I mean, it just feels like today, especially because I guess, especially since I've left college, I haven't played I haven't moved. Like, I have my Xbox One and my PS4 have been in a box for so long, and I'm never probably going to buy a PS5. I'm never going to buy, I don't even know what the latest, is it still the Series 1? I don't even know if they've made a new Xbox.
I think it's the Series X now?
Oh yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. And like I said, the only reason I own a Switch 2 is because there's some titles that I know are only going to be on that, so I don't know. Which, I mean, it's good. It is kind of a net good for things to be more accessible to a larger thing, but it really does feel like some of these companies just don't have near as much. They massive aura loss, like really.
Yeah.
Sony's got L aura,
Yeah. The big thing, I think, the big argument against gaming on a personal computer was, like, personal computers just used to not be able to run graphically intensive games, right? Like, there just wasn't such a thing as a GPU in a certain era. And like, when that was a thing, it made a lot more sense to only develop games for consoles. And again, since consoles were highly specialized, it made sense for developers to only develop games for a console and like choose a side, basically. But yeah, nowadays it's just like your fucking grandma's laptop can run Wizard 101, no problem. You know, it's
hell yeah,
and it's like the laptop from 2011. You know, it really is. It's a different world now, and the gaming ecosystem has not adapted well to that. They haven't adapted well to the idea that PlayStation and Xbox are no longer these specialty pieces of hardware. Nintendo has tried to adapt in the way of keeping a death grip on their first-party titles.
Yes.
And that's worked well for them, but it does also make for, I think in some ways, a less healthy customer experience. And then you have people like PlayStation who have basically fared the worst. Xbox did okay. Who, you know, they kind of did this whole thing. They have this whole thing where they're trying to turn Xbox into like a media center rather than just a gaming device. It's basically becoming a computer in its own right.
Yeah. And then also relying so heavily on like Game Pass as a subscription service for the gaming side being like the main draw. Like you don't have to really buy most of the games on Xbox. You just pay your monthly subscription and you do get, like, in their defense, like you get a shit ton of like older, newer titles. Like you have a lot of value in Game Pass. So like and to be fair, like PlayStation does have like free titles with PlayStation Plus and stuff like that. But that's more like every month you would get like 2 games that were free with Xbox Gold, you know?
Yes,
back in the day. So it's more like more so that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, and oh god, I loved Xbox Gold. Those were free to keep too. I that's how I got Dark Souls.
Yes, yeah. I played a lot of fun games that with my friends back in the day that were like, hey, this was free this month with gold. You know, then we'd end up playing it for like Command & Conquer Red Alert 3. I played so much of that. It was free with gold one month. And we've played so much of that back in the day. It was very fun.
Yeah. And again, it's like that's a value add that Xbox brings that is like that is a good reason for people to actually use Xbox. They've integrated well into the idea that they are no longer special as the box that they make that makes the pretty pictures, you know? And then PlayStation, I think PlayStation has been wishy-washy, right? They both haven't kind of realized that they aren't special anymore. Like they haven't had a good grip on their first party titles or on studios that made big titles for their platform. Didn't
Sony acquire Bungie or something? Because I thought that would be like a big acquisition. Somebody acquired Bungie or tried to acquire Bungie for like a really large amount of money, and like,
I think so.
I think it was Sony.
I think like Destiny 1, there was like early, you got stuff early for Destiny 1 on PlayStation, I think. Like I can't remember if it was like a week or a month early, but
okay, yeah, wait, so Bungie got bought by Sony in like the early 2020s, I think, actually. Like fairly within the past several years. So, yeah, I don't know. But like also, you have to ask, the fuck does that get you? You know, like because like they don't even have like they really kind of lost their luster as well. You know, I think before even 2022. You know, like
I think God, and before that, they were all owned by Activision Blizzard, right?
That sounds right, but I don't know.
I remember Destiny 2 being on the BattleNet launcher. So I think they were owned by Activision Blizzard, and it's weird. It's weird that Sony would, well, maybe not. Maybe it's not weird. But it does feel like, again, they're being kind of wishy-washy in how they're handling this situation. Microsoft, again, their whole big thing being value adds, Game Pass, the fact that their pretty box that makes pretty colors can be used in many ways. And like Sony just doesn't have that anymore.
Yeah.
God, I remember in the days of the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 2 also being a Blu-ray player was huge.
Mm.
Like,
yeah,
people would buy PlayStation 2s pretty much purely because it was a Blu-ray player, and Blu-ray players were like dummy expensive at the time. But like a PlayStation 2, like also being a game console, like it made it, like actually made it comparable to the dummy expensive Blu-ray players.
Mm-hmm.
God, that was an interesting time in history.
Different time.
Yeah, I feel bad for Sony in some ways, but again, it's like they're just not adjusting to the industry changes.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? And like Nintendo, as you said, nobody thinks the Switch 2 is like some great piece of hardware. It's better than the Switch 1. But you're going to have to buy it if you want to play a lot of games. And I guess also, like, to give Nintendo a little bit of credit when it comes to holding on to their first-party stuff, there are some aspects of Nintendo games that would also only work on specific pieces of Nintendo hardware. Because Nintendo has always been so gimmicky with how their stuff works. Like, there's games that definitely would not work because they're a fucking DS game or something, They had a touchscreen, or they have... Or, fucking, there's like games that were on the Wii, that were about like motion controls and shit like that. I think like the weird gimmicks is another thing that Nintendo just does, whether you like them or not, that also help them maintain their place in the industry, aside from just having some of the most prominent IP in history and, having a pretty much death grip on those, because you can't play some of these games without some of the mechanics that are kind of native to Nintendo hardware,
Right. And I think like one of those being like Mii's is as wacky as it sounds. Mii's were a big like it's part of the ecosystem, it's part of the Nintendo ecosystem where it's like you can create these little funny avatars that will just show up in different games.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't remember which game it was. I think it was Mario Kart Wii, where sometimes you would just see your Mii's, like the Mii's on your system in the crowds. And that was crazy. Cool. Yeah, it was really cool. Like you would just randomly see Peter Griffin just chilling up there. Lois, I'm jerking off in the Mario Kart Wii crowds. Anyway, and like I can see that. Like, that also kind of being like a value add in a way, having not just hyper specific hardware, but this sort of gimmicky but interesting other stuff going on.
That does pretty much, is sort of, whether you think it's purposeful or not, does kind of make it so a lot of the games that are made for that system really do have to just kind of be on that system,
Right.
Whether it's the touch screen or motion controls or, the fucking needing Joy-Cons and having unique mechanics surrounding those and fucking tilt. Fuck, I remember there was a Yoshi game I played that I think it might have even been a Game Boy game that had tilt controls, because they would have like the bigger cartridge that had like the extra space in there that had like some kind of like I think the thing that made the tilt controls work was an extra thing that was in the cartridge. There were like these beefier cartridges for them. I don't know, but like gimmicks and shit like that, unironically might go a long way towards keeping your identity and keeping your place in the in the ecosystem secure, because there really isn't anything like that on PlayStation. It's a controller. Yeah, I have, generally speaking, been more of a fan of PlayStation controllers than Xbox remotes, but like, who gives a fuck? They're remotes, you know, like they're not that crazy, you know?
Yeah, they're not even that different anymore. Like the Xbox controller is very comparable to the Nintendo Switch controller. And
yes, it is. Like the like a Nintendo Switch Pro or Pro controller or whatever is very similar to an Xbox remote. Like I have a PS4 controller and an Xbox controller still that I have on my desk here, and they're different. And I'd rather use the PlayStation one, but like I don't know, I'm not married to either.
Yeah, the big change between the two is really just the thumbstick. Like that's it. It's one has a lower.
Things are positioned differently, you know.
Yeah.
I think the PlayStation controller's a little smaller too, and I like the way that it's shaped a bit more, but like I don't know, it's not. The PlayStation 4 controller had a speaker on it. The PlayStation 5 one does too. That's kind of weird.
Right. I remember like the touchpad thing in the center used to be something that they tried to fuck with. Are they still doing that?
It is kind of interesting. So, like, I mean, I don't remember. I think it's still on the PlayStation 5, I think. But, like, on the PlayStation 4 mode, yeah, like, the middle thing is a touchpad. So you could, like, kind of use your thumb as sort of a mouse when navigating menus on the PlayStation 4. And probably on the PS5 as well. And that's kind of neat. Like, that's a neat little thing. But, you know, I don't know. The Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Cons can be used as mice now, I guess, in some things, basically. So that's kind of neat. But, I don't know.
Yeah, it's, like... I remember there were some games that did like you could navigate menus with that, and that was a gimmicky little thing. One thing I did want to say is there was a studio recently that used to make PlayStation games exclusively, or a PlayStation game, and it basically, like, after their one big title on PlayStation, they broke away, and then they started making stuff for every platform, and it really, I think, is emblematic of the issue. Do you remember the game Until Dawn?
Yes.
So
it's kind of a choice-based sort of telltale horror kind of thing. Sort of.
Yes. Fantastic. Honestly, I thought it was a fantastic game. And I don't really typically like Telltale-esque games, but the storytelling in it was very good. A very good story, very good horror atmosphere, and it did a lot of things with the PlayStation Remote, where there were specific situations where the remote controller had like gyroscopes in it, where you had to hold the controller still in order to not fuck up a section.
Not get the spooky guy to get you or something, yeah.
Right. It was a lot of very interesting stuff. And again, it was made specifically for the PlayStation 4 hardware. If your controller didn't have a gyroscope, it wouldn't work. And like after making that game, that studio, I think, just kind of broke off and became its own thing, and now they made like a handful of, admittedly far lower quality, but like they're still making those kinds of games where it's supposed to be decision based, like horror games, very much in the same vein. I think the most recent one was a game called Directive 8020, and yeah, it's I can only imagine it's awful too, because it's like, because they're no longer just a PlayStation studio, they can't do that kind of stuff anymore with the gyroscopes. They have to make stuff for people playing on keyboard. They have to make stuff for people playing on whatever controller if it doesn't have a gyroscope. And so as a result, they can't do the neat little fun sections that they could do in Until Dawn.
Right.
It's it's a little sucky, but I think like that's really shows kind of how Sony fumbles the bag Like, they had this really good thing, this really cool exclusive that was actually making use of their hardware, and they just couldn't hold on to it. I don't know what it is. Again, probably a lot of internal stuff. I'm guessing some studios that are closely linked with that are not literally, owned by like the console manufacturer, but are closely linked with that console, get some sort of maybe like kickback, maybe financial, maybe otherwise, and I'm guessing Sony just doesn't do that, or they do it really poorly. Because there's no other reason I can think of that Sony has fumbled the bag so many times with so many different studios that have made these fantastic games.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it works. I mean, at the end of the day, screws them over, but it is better for, the most part. The games are more accessible. But even there's a lot of things where, like, a company is owned by somebody and they're still not exclusive. Like, Bethesda is owned by Microsoft, Right. But in 85 years, when Skyrim gets re-released again, it's going to be released on everything, and that is overall for the best, unless there is some very unique thing about that one system, which is, whether it's the Nintendo gimmicks or whatever, it is better if things are available on every system. But yeah, I don't know. I think we've covered a lot of ground. We've gone a little over 2 hours right now. So is there anything else you wanted to hit specifically? So I had one little idea before we closed.
I didn't have anything specific. What did you want to hit on? What's your topic?
I just thought maybe like this could be maybe a tradition, on the Sock and Cold show. But I think at the end of the show we should just talk about real briefly like what we're fucking playing right now. Like what are you doing? What you got going on?
Oh gosh. Okay, so I made a post on YouTube recently. My main YouTube channel being primarily about, or nowadays being primarily about like challenge runs and stuff like that. I am currently playing Satisfactory, and
a lot.
It's okay, because it's one of those games where it's like you can kind of set things up and then just kind of leave it open and go do other things.
Yeah.
But I am nearly 200 hours into this save file.
Oh my god.
And
Jesus.
Yeah, it's rough, but that's the main game I'm playing. What's your...
Gotcha. So first off, though, got a question. You won't tell us what the challenge is, though, will you?
Oh, I will. It's I already mentioned it in the thing. So, Satisfactory came out with a 1.2 update recently, and one of the you've played Satisfactory, right?
Yes, I've played it. I've actually
we played
had a
it
good amount
together
of
at
hours
some
in
point.
it.
I don't know why I forgot that.
Yeah.
So one of the main like modes of progression.
I have 50 hours in it.
Oh yeah. So you've got an idea. One of the main modes of progression is making a bunch of different types of like parts and stuff to go into something called the space elevator. And then when you deliver parts in the space elevator, eventually you reach a threshold and you can
you unlock new stuff,
more
and
stuff.
then you get to
so
move on to the next tier of stuff you have to put into it.
One of the things that they added in the 1.2 update is you can increase the requirements. And so it's not just the requirements. You can increase a lot of things. So like the cost for recipes has been increased, or you can increase them. You can increase how much power stuff takes to operate. You can make it so that all the resource nodes are either like their best version or their worst version. You can randomize the position of the resource nodes. A lot of different stuff. It adds a lot of replayability, I think, to the game. But in most of those cases, you can only make the game like you can only make recipes cost like up to 2 times more. However, for the space elevator, they've made it so that you can set it up to 100 times.
Okay.
So
is that the challenge?
Well, the challenge is everything. Everything. So things take more power, things cost more to make, things like all of the resource nodes are their worst version. They've been randomized. And the space elevator takes 100 times more parts to reach the next tier.
So you just made it as awful as possible, basically.
Yes. I've also disabled pausing the game while paused. So just a little thing. And I've also made it so that when you die, you also lose your equipment, not just everything that's in your inventory. So it's just the worst version of the game. And yeah, it's I completed Space Elevator Phase 1, and I'm currently building the infrastructure to get started on Phase 2.
Very cool.
So, what's your current game right now?
I think I actually kind of mentioned it earlier. I've been playing the GameCube Fire Emblem,
Right.
Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, which is Fire Emblem 9 with Ike. And I've actually really enjoyed it because I've played a lot of games from Fire Emblem, but not all of them because there's a lot of them. I mean, just off the top of my head, I get it confused because the first one is Marth, the second one is called Fire Emblem Gaiden, the third one is Mystery of the Emblem, which is a remake sort of the first one, but has new content. 4 is Genealogy, The Holy Wars. 5 is Thraces, 7076. 6, 7, and 8 are the GBA games. There's the Roy one, also from Smash Brothers fame, which is FE6. FE7 has his father, as well as Eliwood and Hector. FE8 was the first one I ever played as a kid. FE9, then, like I said, Path of Radiance. The second Ike game, which was on the Wii, was Radiant Dawn. That's 10. And then it gets confusing because there's more remakes, and then Awakening and Fates, and then the Switch games, and there's a lot of stuff. But yeah, especially because they, finally revealed the release date for, the next one on the Switch. I wanted to play some of the ones that I've not played. I've only really played through the Game Boy Advance ones and the DS ones and the Switch ones. So, yeah, I've liked it a lot, though. I mean, it's fun. It has a lot of charm. A lot of the problems in the story get solved by Ike just not being racist, and that's just that's like actually just how a lot of it, because there's like animal people and funny stuff in the game, and like there's a lot of racism and stuff. Like it's the kind of game that, like, if it came out today, a lot of people, like the worst people on Twitter, would call it woke garbage because racism and inequality is like a core part of the story. But I don't know, I really like it. It has a lot of fun mechanics and does a lot of interesting things with just like the way Fire Emblem tends to work that I think some of the earlier and later games actually don't really do. So it's moving up in my, it's definitely moving up in my list of the Fire Emblem games I've played so far, and like favorites and stuff like that. So I've really been enjoying it,
I wish there were more hours in the day, because I remember a while ago we used to hang out in Discord calls a lot, and you would play this game called Grandia Extreme.
Oh my god, yeah.
For the uninitiated, it's a very, very obscure RPG for, what was it, PlayStation?
It was a PlayStation 2 game. The series is in and of itself, I think, pretty beloved by some people. I don't think a lot of the fans of a lot of other Grandia games have a high opinion on parts of Grandia Extreme, I think. I don't know. I can't pretend to know a lot about the Grandia community, but I don't think a lot of people like the game.
Right. Yeah, I think I remember looking it up, and it had like a 60 on Metacritic or something like that.
Had Mark Hamill in it, though.
It did have Mark Hamill in it. I wish there were more hours in the day so I could play, like, just kind of whatever games like
shit
that.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah. Because I really enjoy stuff like that, where it's like little games that kind of just slipped under the radar that nobody talks about, nobody knows about. What was the Neopets game that we were clowning on?
Oh, and the Dark Fairy that we saw at like Games Done Quick or something.
Yes.
Yeah. It played like a shitty Zelda game, I thought, didn't it, or something?
Something kind of like that. It was like an ARPG. Like I don't know. I think that stuff is fun. Like these really obscure kind of old games. I don't know. It's sad to me that there's a lot of games that exist and are on some, dumped on some hard drive by some preservationist, some fella, and
or some lady fella,
or some lady fella, or some non-binary fella, some woke fella,
some woke fellas. There's too many woke fellas. There's too many
woke. And they're just not going to get experienced by most people anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But if you ever want to try Fire Emblem, I recommend Fire Emblem 8, The Sacred Stones, is a great fucking entry point into the franchise for anybody out there, or you, just because it's a Game Boy Advance game. It has great sprites. I think all the Game Boy Advanced Fire Emblem games have some beautiful sprite work. But also, it's one that's fairly easy. It has the ability to grind in it, which a lot of earlier games don't if you really need to. And I feel like it has just about all of the mechanics that are like key parts of like what makes a Fire Emblem game, but doesn't have really any like extra gimmick stuff that you would experience in that game and then expect to find in a different game that aren't there. So I don't know. If anybody ever wants to jump into that one, I think it is a good starting point. Really, any of the Game Boy Advance games are, but FE6 is pretty hard. So FE7 or FE8, I think, are great entry points into the franchise.
I'll keep that in mind. I have seen some of the gameplay that you've done, and while it doesn't look like my kind of game, I can admit that it is a little interesting. The whole rock paper scissors thing going on, and also like being a tile based strategy. Regardless, I think that's a good place to end it off there. I think we were about 2 hours in, a little over maybe. And
2:15, something like that.
And I think that's a good place to call it. Do you any last words for the people back at home besides play Fire Emblem, you fucking weeb?
Tip your wait staff. And trillionaires shouldn't exist.
Spay and neuter your animals.
Yeah, that too. And join us next time when we talk about how fuckable the Fortnite Pomni skin is.
Oh,
is that her name? I never watched the show. I don't know.
I think it's Pomni. Yeah.
I just know that people were really on top of the fact that she had, I don't know, I guess they gave her like really wide hips in Fortnite or something. I don't know. I saw that being a discussion online. Because that's what people have to fucking talk about these days, I guess.
I need to watch Amazing Digital Circus, because
I thought you were going to say, I need to look at this Fortnite skin. Like, I really thought that's what you were about to say. Like, damn, man, it's not that big a deal.
No, like, it just had, like, its finale release in theaters? That's crazy.
Yeah, something like that, yeah, I don't know.
We should talk about the back rooms next time.
Just as a concept, or the movie, or what?
The fact that like there's like YouTuber movies, I guess.
Oh yeah, okay.
I think that would be a good conversation next time.